Hello, True Crime Stories family. Welcome back. We want to clear up some confusion about Buster Murdaugh's inheritance from his mother's estate. Then we will discuss how 4 generations of Murdaughs brought misery in South Carolina, with some people saying they were worse than the mafia, from wild allegations of murder for hire, domestic and child molestation. We made a video called The Luxurious Life of Alex Murdaugh's Golden Child Buster. In that video, we talked about Buster purchasing a home with his inheritance. Some viewers are saying that the inheritance Buster received was from his mother's estate, not from Alex, so it's not dirty money. The dirty money was passed down to Buster in the form of his mother's estate. We will break everything down. Panic 42,000 commented, "You should leave this young man alone. He lost his whole family. The hatred for him is because his family had money, which he had nothing to do with. He didn't steal anything from anyone, and he didn't hurt anyone. It's just ridiculous. Let him move on with his life. We don't have hatred for Buster, and we wish him the best in his future, but the truth is that he purchased his house with his daddy's stolen money. Let's not forget about the victims of Alex who've been fighting for years and still haven't received their lawsuit money or only got a small percentage of the money that they suffered or died for. Most of these people is poor, and they didn't come from a wealthy family that could help them financially." Penny 1150 commented Buster's inheritance came from his mother's side of it and his grandmother's estate. Sandra Sylvester 6810 commented his inheritance was from his mom's estate, not his dad's. A majority of the money from Maggie's estate came from the sale of Moselle. It was his mom's estate, but his daddy's dirty money paid for everything in his mom's estate. Dranma 51 commented if they sold Alex properties, why didn't the proceeds have to go to all of Alex's victims? He stole millions from innocent people. We believe all of the proceeds should have gone to Alex victims. Alex was a horrible lawyer, but he knows a lot about the law. He fought hard to legally protect Moselle against any debtors. Probate records show. In December 2016, Alex sold Moselle an estate worth around $3 million at the time to Maggie. For $5, love and affection. He moved Moselle into Maggie's name in the full knowledge that a host of potential lawsuits were coming down the pipeline should his actions be discovered. Maggie left everything to Alex in her will. However, when she died, Alex legally gave up his right to accept any interest in the estate of his late wife, which included the Edisto property and the Moselle estate. Immediately after Moselle was put up for sale in February 2022, Alex filed a qualified disclaimer with the probate court in which he renounced his inheritance. This meant that when the property sold, the proceeds would flow not to him, nor to the pockets of all those with claims against him, but to surviving son Buster. But the victims of the boat crash, and Buster received the funds from Maggie's estate. Out of the $500,000 inheritance Buster received from his mother's estate, a majority of it came from the sale of Moselle and the items that was auctioned off inside the house. Alex paid for Moselle and the items inside of the house with stolen money. When his back was against the wall, he put Moselle in Maggie's name, but she was a stay-at-home mom who didn't work. Alex was making mortgage payments for Moselle from his fraudulent accounts that was funded with the money he stole from his clients, although Moselle was in Maggie's name. When Alex was convicted in 2023 of deaths of his wife Maggie and son Paul at their Moselle property, it was a shocking downfall. For decades, Alex was allegedly a big-talking, glad-handing schmoozer of an attorney, known for earning multi-million-dollar settlements at his family's long-standing law firm. No one would have predicted he'd end up sentenced to life in prison, except maybe a Murdaugh being convicted of a crime was long overdue. For nearly a century, the family ruled the legal world of South Carolina's Low Country. We know from 1920 to 2006, a Murdaugh held public office as the area's solicitor, a position solely responsible for deciding which alleged crimes went to trial and which were dismissed. While the 3 successive generations of Murdaugh solicitors, first Randolph, then Buster, then Randy, were known to do good work prosecuting the worst criminals, but they also used their authority to enrich themselves and accumulate power. I think they were worse than the mafia. An anonymous local is quoted in Jason Ryan's Swamp Kings, the story of the Murdaugh family of South Carolina and a century of backwoods power. It was sickening to watch them in action. The first Murdaugh solicitor was Randolph Murdaugh Sr., who held office from 1920 to 1940. He may have been the most benign Murdaugh of all. Randolph Sr.'s only real crime was allegedly funneling local defendants he was prosecuting to hire his private law firm for their defense, a kind of dubious double-dipping that ensured he got rich while working the low-paying job of county solicitor. When kidney failure doomed Randolph Sr. to an early grave, he purposely drove his car onto local railroad tracks and died in 1940. But before that, Randolph Sr. resigned as solicitor and pulled enough strings to ensure his son, Randolph Jr., aka Buster, was given the role. There was nothing benign about the reign of Buster, who filled the position for 46 years. Buster began his tenure by suing the railroad company TcS&x for his father's death, holding them responsible for what had clearly been Randolph Sr.'s purposeful actions. Responsible or not, TcS&x soon settled for an undisclosed sum. Until 1986, Buster ran the Low Country as his own personal fiefdom, deciding who would be elected to public office and who would be charged with crimes. He was repeatedly investigated by the South Carolina Bar Association and indicted by the federal government, but none of the charges ever took. "There are two types of laws in South Carolina," Ryan quotes an opposing attorney as saying, "the laws on the books and Buster's laws." Law enforcement was entirely on his side, too. Once, when Buster asked a police officer the color of an alleged getaway car, the cop shrugged his shoulders and said it was whatever color the solicitor needed it to be. In 1945, Buster impregnated a local married woman and later admitted he'd tried to hire someone to off her, although that confession was never investigated. When federal authorities prosecuted Buster in the mid-1950s as the mastermind bootlegger of a local whiskey-making conspiracy, he was one of only 3 accused deemed innocent. 15 others were found guilty. Plus, Buster's brother Johnny was allegedly known as a wife-beater and child molester. There was rumors that he allegedly took the life of a farm worker who went missing. But he got away with his crimes, while his older sibling ruled the Low Country courts. By the time Buster retired in 1986, he'd pulled his own strings to guarantee his son Randolph III, known as Randy, was named solicitor. Randy allegedly held the job for 20 years and shared his father's sense of invincibility. He was married, but he was allegedly a serial cheater. He had a grand time screwing fat girls. That was the word around town, about the Low Country's newest lead prosecutor. Plus, Randy bent all the legal rules, too. When a friend's teenage daughter was wooed by an older boy, Randy wrote a restraining order against the innocent suitor, and eventually had him arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a minor. When an acquaintance was arrested a third time in 2004 for pirating compact discs, Randy both opted not to prosecute and even returned the man's illegally acquired belongings. The Murdaugh chokehold on the solicitor position officially ended in 2006 with Randy's retirement, mostly because Randy's son Alex was more of an ambulance chaser than a serious attorney. Alex had always been known as a meathead, a drunken loudmouth given to big talk and fisticuffs. He was an underhanded piece of shit, a fellow attorney said. A bully all of his teenage and adult life. Before retiring, Randy did make his son Alex a volunteer assistant solicitor, though, a powerless position, which the younger Alex nonetheless used to get himself an official law enforcement badge and blue lights on top of his personal vehicle. That allowed him to run rampant in the Low Country. Alex was a star at the Murdaugh family law firm, though, enriching both the company and himself. In 2013, Alex personally earned more than $5 million. It wasn't the most honorable work, though. A 2007 car crash left one teenager dead and the driver with a brain like silly putty. Alex sued the brain-injured boy for reckless driving, even though his fatal accident resulted from a truck driver negligently leaving his semi parked across both lanes of a darkened country road. Why did Alex Murdaugh target the injured teenager? The truck driver had no insurance, but the teen driver's father did, ensuring a much bigger financial settlement. Amid all his monetary successes, Alex's massive opioid addiction, high-living lifestyle, vacations, private plane travel, and wild real estate purchases was financed by stolen money for many years. And now his son inherited the stolen funds. We hope all of Alex's clients receive their money one day. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.